Good day to you, and welcome to the tea for those who are visiting for the first time. Welcome back to those who are revisiting. Today's tea is coming out of the book of John, chapter 2. The focus is trust or not to trust. That's the question you have to ask every time you are encountering someone and you are trying to communicate inwardly to yourself, first of all, how to move forward. And when I say communicate to yourself, meaning that you rationalize. Of course, you are supposed to be consulting the Lord if you're following Jesus, but just the human nature part, how it sometimes wrestle within and deciding, do I move forward? Do I not? How far do I um, continue in this relationship with the person? Do I let them into my inner circle? Do I keep them in the outer court of my personal space? What does that look like? Well, let me just share with you what the T shares with us, meaning the word of God. So the word of the Lord tells us, well, John, the apostle who was with Jesus, one of his actual disciples, he told us how when Jesus had been doing miracles, right? And in verse 23, it tells us how, because of the miraculous signs Jesus did in Jerusalem at the Passover celebration, it says many began to trust in him. But Jesus didn't trust them because he knew all about people. No one needed to tell him about human nature, for he knew what was in each person's heart. And this is a very good lesson to help us understand that we have to make sure that we trust the Lord, not the people themselves, because people is just a human nature, may not always align with God's purpose, right? So he told us to love everyone. Jesus said, love everyone. You love your enemies. You just do right by everyone, right? But that trust factor has caused some to slip up because they are loving, they also believe they ought to trust. And trust does not mean, well, not trusting doesn't mean that we are to be so distant and standoffish. None of that at all. But not trusting, meaning knowing how far to communicate with people, whether it's going to be a personal, close relationship or an associate type relationship or a business type relationship, right? Because there are different layers to a relationship and different types of relationships. So you have to know what space you're in with a person and how much you can allow them to be in your personal space. So this is something that you want to always pray about and don't assume that it's okay to be close to a person, trustworthy. I mean, you have to live in this world, so of course you have to communicate, and therefore there are times that you have to trust the process of a situation. You may not always know a person 100% and communicate, and so there are some things you do need to share at certain times. But of course, this is where wisdom comes in on what that looks like for you. I do understand that as a believer in Jesus, there are times where people are a little naive because you are, trying to follow the Lord and work this out, properly, and may not be aware of those who are not trying to follow the Lord and have ulterior motives. And you don't want to be judgmental, you don't want to be critical of anyone. Um, but that in itself, it can be a concern because you still want to be wise, you still want to be aware. Some situations are just like you have to be trusting because depending upon the situation. But let the trust be from within your spirit, man, not just based on a whim or something that you assume. like you may assume that you got a message from the Lord about something, and you just take it and run with it and not consider or even acknowledge him to see if it was him or not, based on your prior experience and understanding of things, because your prior experience and fleshly understanding can get in the way of making right decisions. So that's what this is about today. I really hope you enjoyed today's tea. Hope you understand the difference between trusting and being loving. They are different because you can love someone but not trust them. All right. Well, I hope these words have found you well. And until the next time you sit with me, you stay planted and enjoy your tea.